All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the FMA Dumpster Fire podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, not just on Facebook. So today, this is one of those podcasts. As always, it is impromptu. It's not been scheduled or planned. These are usually triggered by things that I come across on social media. And as part of me reflecting and thinking about it, I think talking about it and committing to sharing it live allows me to express and hash out ideas with a bit of an edge to it, because people are watching and they're watching live. And so there might be things that I say that could be said better. Let's get that out of the way. As always, there are things that I say that could be said better. And as always, let's read between the lines and let's make allowances for minds to be changed. So today I want to talk about the oversensitivity of some modern Filipinos. And what I first wanted to address was maybe this isn't the best. Okay, so this is how it started. There is a Filipino martial artist, a Caucasian Filipino martial artist named Mark Makita, and he released a poster of arterial pathways, and maybe I should just bring it up. I'll just bring it right up here. In any case, as I do this, I'm gonna see if I can also talk about it at the same time. There we go. I'm gonna save this image. Anyway, this poster that he was selling had some Filipino iconology, particularly from the South, right? And there was a commentary about it that it was like, no, that's not cool. Like, do you even understand what these icons mean? And first of all, I want to say that somebody like Mark Makita, who's dedicated so much of his life to the deep study of Filipino martial arts, I would not be the least bit surprised if he did have an understanding of what these icons mean, and perhaps not to the degree that somebody who belongs to that culture might have, but that's to be expected, right? So let me go share this image right now. But yeah, today we're talking about how I think some Filipinos are just super, super sensitive. Now, I don't mean to diminish the idea that we ought to be proud of our identity and take control over the narrative and to dig deeper and to, in some cases, rewrite the history that was historically at times written for us. And I get that. But I think that people are choosing the front line, the wrong front line, right? So this is the poster right here. This is it. This is the poster. It's a super dope poster. Like, okay. And so when somebody commented on this poster expressing, let me just read it word by word, because it wasn't, it was valid, right? The concern was valid. So this person about this poster, when Mark Makita shared it, wrote, "I'm seeking to understand why there are depictions of iconography from the culture of our brothers from the south of the Philippines." So this is a northerner talking about a southerner, right? As well as reference to a phenomenon from a contentious era in our past included in this product. This person continues to write, "Speaking as a Filipino who has good friends who are members of the communities this is important, right? Speaking as a Filipino who has good friends who are members of the community whose identity is referenced, I'm sorry to say, but this does not sit well with me," right? Person continues to write, "We seek to build peace and understanding across all communities here in the Philippines, and to see iconography from ethnic groups here depicted in an antagonizing way may spark misunderstanding and misgivings more than anything else." We will discuss the specific elements of this comment, but first let's read my comment. My comment was, "Nope, it's just a super cool poster. The front line for the battle you want to fight isn't here." That's what I wrote. And because it was brief, and because sometimes you just take a comment for face value rather than kind of digesting what that means, right? So they wrote this, 2 paragraphs, seeking to understand why there are these images here on this poster. And then also saying that, speaking as a Filipino who has good friends who are members of those communities, whose identity is referenced in this poster, it doesn't sit well. So when I wrote, nope, it's just a super cool poster, the front line for the battle you want to fight isn't here. And what do I actually mean by that? What do I mean by that? First of all, the poster is cool. It's a super dope poster. I would buy this poster. I'm gonna buy this poster. I'm going to buy that. That poster is friggin' cool. Look at this poster, you guys. It's a banner. Hang it up in your dojo. Looks super dope. Right? Now, are there things about this poster that I don't understand myself? Yeah. Is it still a super cool poster? Yeah, it's still a super cool poster. So here's what I want to discuss, right? And here's the irony. Some people might think that there is a softening of the culture happening in America, in Canada, in the West in general. This woke ideology that's sort of was rooted in really great things, but it's kind of just like slipped down that slippery slope, and now it's become a bit of a joke. People being oversensitive about crap and just being inclusive to the point of ridiculousness. Right, but I want to address that it's rooted in good things. But there is I hate to use the term snowflake, right? I hate to use that term because it's become politicized, but it references the softening of what is supposed to be a very resilient culture. And the Filipinos are a resilient culture, right? Because we've been, oppressed and all that, it built a really interesting and strong character in us. And I really don't like how that resilience and grit and adaptability is being converted into victimization. Yeah, bad things happen to the Filipinos in the Philippines. That built who we are. And we can move forward from that while acknowledging those things without this victim mentality tone. Is just disgusting to me. It's gross. And here's the ironic thing, right? Like Filipinos in the Philippines and all across the world, we ought to be proud of our culture, but when it comes to being oversensitive over some things, you're not seeing the bigger picture. Perhaps you're carrying scars from the past that isn't present to this day. Like there is so much about the Filipino culture that is just obsessed with the West. They're just obsessed, and the counter to that is brilliant. I think like we ought to be proud of what we own, who we uniquely are. Be proud of what is uniquely Filipino. Don't always look to the West for inspiration and validation, right? Like that's the rally call. But what's interesting to me is that this manifestation of victimhood and the softening and the snowflake-ification is imported from the West. Isn't that, it's a little bit ironic, right? Because Filipinos are meant to be, and we are, resilient and adaptable. But I just think like when you profess that a poster like this is, offensive. Now, can we have a discussion? Yes. But that discussion ought to come from the people who are, belong to the community. Because what this comment really was like, I am offended on behalf of somebody, which is a characterization of what really happens, like in Western culture, right? I think there's a group of people who know exactly what I'm talking about. And then there's a group of people who need clarification. And I'm willing to have those discussions with people. And then there are people who have already shut down. Like they're not even listening to what I actually have to say. They're just looking for points of contention, right? And you know what's kind of strange is that a lot of this doesn't come from Filipinos living in the Philippines. Certainly, it's there, right? I mean, that victim mentality has been imported from the West already. But a lot of this nonsense comes from culturally detached Filipinos who were born in America, who were born in the West, who, by virtue of how they were raised, this is not all of them, by the way, but by virtue of how they were raised in the communities that they grew up in America, in the West, now feel detached from the rich cultural identity of the Philippines. And even when they seek those things out, they find that a lot of these things are westernized. And so they go farther back. And then they sort of like, there's this whole like, do you have a colonialized mentality? This is how you decolonize yourself. And for somebody born after, 1990, in the year 2000, look, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. It makes no sense to me. And I think, again, I'm hashing these thoughts out, and I may be struggling through my words. I just think that when you are in touch with the spirit of your people and your culture, it doesn't matter where you live. Maybe it doesn't even matter where you were born. Like if you were a Filipino born in the Netherlands, do you have a say? Right? Because part of this discussion about this this poster, right? One of the comments was that it almost alluded to that I don't have a say in this. I don't have a say. I don't have a say because I'm not Filipino enough, because I left the Philippines when I was 9 years old and lived the rest of my life thus far in Canada. By the way, my dream is to move back to the Philippines and live in a coastal region and forage in the low tide. That's what I want to do. And do Filipino martial arts. That's how I want to live really the rest of my life. I want to move back to the Philippines and I want to make a difference there, that's what I want to do. But this idea that and again, this may not be what this person meant, but to say that it's not for me to say that this poster is cool, I didn't think that was cool at all. It's almost like, first of all, I wasn't trying to silence the person who said, "Oh, there's all these sensitivities and icons." I wasn't silencing them. I was saying, nah, it's just a cool poster. I was expressing my opinion that the front line of the battle that they actually want to fight, this cultural battle, right, there's a real front line for that, right? And it's not on this poster. It really isn't. And that, for sure, you can make arguments that every little battle, contributes, but this is not the place for it. I think a lot of the social justice warriors that are out there who want to believe that they are involved in activism. I really call it Facebook activism. It's the laziest kind. It does nothing. And it's just like proposing your anger in the easiest possible way, in the most convenient possible way, and in the most meaningless possible way, right? There are real front lines for social justice. And I believe that if you have a true passion for that it's evident, right? It's evident not by your expressing offense to things that really are. It's almost like a battle not worth fighting, and so it's a waste of time and resources, But maybe because I'm even talking about it now, maybe that was the point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's cool to express how offended you are over something like this, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like, you guys see what's happening in America. Like, you guys see what's happening in Canada, right? And in the West. It's just there is a general softening and this pervasive victim mentality. And again, that doesn't mean, we accept the narrative that's been written for us and all that crap. I mean, honestly, it's just not for me, man. I'm more of a, like, we have a rich, proud history. We have some of it documented. There is no, I mean, there's no culture that just had a smooth ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, every culture had slavery. Like, every culture had atrocities. Every culture had to go through its own set of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a shared human experience. GM Ron Saturno. So GM Ron Saturno, man, I love this guy. I can have disagreements, philosophical disagreements with this human, and I'd like to think we're still cool. But yeah, it's a pleasure. I don't know. Maybe I'm babbling. Maybe this is not making any sense. Maybe I am your soft, but you actually spelt it wrong. It's YOU apostrophe REUR soft. This is a possessive soft. So it's your soft what? Your soft teddy bear, your soft tone. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like, it's weird. There's there's this chick who runs a Filipino martial arts organization, and I won't mention her by name, right? But I saw a video of hers and a bunch of items on her website about, like, decolonialize FMA. What the fuck does that mean? Decolonialize FMA? Like, take away its influences from other cultures. Like, no white people allowed, right? The funny thing is, like, this chick is half white. It's like this kind of crap, you guys. This kind of pervasive nonsense in Filipino martial arts. Like, I get in trouble for saying stuff like this. Okay, this might be contentious. Okay, all right, listen to this. I said this earlier, and I still stand by it, even though, like, it's kind of harsh. What I'm about to say is kind of like, you can find a point where you can just, like, rip it apart and be like, "Wow, you're a freaking idiot." But there's enough truth to it that we can have a discussion about it. And it goes like this. One of the best things to happen to FMA is when big, strong white dudes decided they liked it. What the hell does that mean? You whitewashed, brainwashed, westernized Filipino, you? What does it mean when Paulo said that one of the best things to happen to the Filipino martial arts was when big, strong white dudes decided they liked it? What do you think I mean by that? Well, there were a bunch of Filipinos who made it their life goal to propagate the art, to travel overseas, to explore new lands, carrying a parcel that contained our culture in the form of this martial art. And they set forth bravely, sometimes with almost no money and no real direction, but they were pioneers. And they traveled to New Zealand and America and France and Germany and the United States and Canada. And they shared it with their people, but they also shared it with white dudes, big, strong white dudes who decided they liked it. And so they became vessels for spreading this art. You know, folks like Greg Nelson, Rick Fay, Paul Vunak, Mark Denny, and the Dog Brothers, and on and on and on. And because they were American, they knew how to communicate with Americans. They knew how to represent the Filipino martial arts in such a way that it would take hold. And there are countless nameless Caucasians who did just this. That's part of the culture and history of the Filipino martial arts. It's absolutely part of it. And no, not all of it was honored in the way that it should have been. And yes, there were instances of deceit and thievery, but that is just the course of human nature. You know, it's not going to be a perfect ride, but the job was done. The Filipino martial arts spread, it took hold, it seeded, and now it continues to grow. And so, do we owe thanks to these people? Yeah. Do we owe them, respect? Yeah, 1000%. And I'll say this boldly and proudly: there's something happening in the Philippines right now with the Filipino martial arts. Wonderful things. Communities that are growing and flourishing and interacting with one another and collaborating and strategizing. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that that wouldn't have happened without the rocket fuel that the West has infused into the popularity of the Filipino martial arts. But perhaps it would have happened much, much later. Certainly not in your lifetime for the people who are getting to enjoy it today. And that is also not to diminish the efforts of those who kept it alive locally at home, right? Sometimes when I express my appreciation for one thing, sometimes people take that as not appreciating the other thing. And again, that's also a bit of a Filipino mentality, a tita mentality, but it exists in other cultures as well. Like, what about me? Oh, you're saying I did nothing? It's kind of that attitude, Huh, I'm the one who taught your tita how to make that pancit. Okay, now she's the best pancit maker. So it's not that, right? Like, because I'm saying the West made tremendous contributions to the Filipino martial arts, I'm not diminishing the contributions of Filipinos at home. And so back to these cultural sensitivities, like I'm so often finding these days from, by the way, a vocal minority, okay? Because the vast majority of Filipino martial arts practitioners are pretty dope, pretty cool, pretty, But then there's this thing like, oh, that's a Western mentality, or that's not how we do it back home, or all this stuff, and they don't say those things um, in the spirit of like unity or anything like that. It's almost like it props themselves up, like, well, that's a Western mentality, which is ironic. It's a little bit ironic, isn't it? Like that, you know. uh I don't know. I just find it ironic, okay? Because like the West has so greatly influenced the Philippines, and hopefully vice versa, to some degree. Let's see the comments. FMA and Japanese arts were made out of necessity of the time. Yeah, I guess. I met some of those Pinoys here in LA that have told me they refuse to learn FMA from a white guy or non-Pinoy. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. Oh man, I can't believe that shit, bro. Right? And you know what might be funny, right? You know what's hilarious is that okay? So I've met some of those Pinoys here in LA that have told me they refuse to learn FMA from a white guy or a non-Pinoy. So they'll learn from a Pinoy, they'll learn from a Filipino who was taught by a white guy or a Mexican guy. You know what I mean? What are you, stupid? And I think these Pinoys that you meet in LA who say, oh, I'm not going to learn from a non Filipino, was probably not even born in the Philippines. This is what I mean. They are so detached from the spirit of their culture that they find these little silly ways to feel connected to their culture that don't make sense at all. So just tell me if I'm on point. Tell me, Mike, if I'm on point, right? There you go. There you go. No, I appreciate you, man. And it's yeah, it's silly, man. It's silly. I find it absolutely ridiculous. And some Filipinos in the Philippines are adopting this snowflake-ification victim mentality. And it's ironic as hell to me that the way in which they propose to be uniquely Filipino is driven by a Western engine. This victim mentality. It's fucking ironic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all are being ironic, you guys. You know what I mean? Super duper ironic. But again, in case I misunderstood and misconstrued, it doesn't mean that, I resist a better understanding for the diverse and rich cultural tapestry of the Philippine archipelago. It doesn't mean that I've accepted and that I celebrated atrocities that happen to our people. Doesn't mean I'm not proud to be Filipino. I believe that there is a better way to show our pride, and typically that's by example. um Tooting my own horn a little bit, right? Like, not to sound like arrogant or nothing like that, but I don't know another Filipino born in the Philippines who does Filipino martial arts that has exposed the Filipino martial arts to as many people globally as I have. Now, some may argue, well, your FMA, Paulo, isn't the best representation of FMA. You're probably right. In which case, I hope that they're intrigued enough to continue that path of curiosity, or at least there's enough brand awareness in their minds to at least know what Filipino martial arts is, you know? By the way, you guys like my Filipino base tattoo with Japanese writing in a Torii gate? Like, how confused am I with a Philippine eagle up top? Oh my God, Paulo, you're just with a lion. There's no lions in the Philippines. Paulo, you are just a confused Filipino, a non-true whitewashed Filipino with no sense of his true cultural identity. Eh, maybe you're right, homie. But what I hope is that you match my hustle in the very least and export this thing. I believe now the greatest Filipino export to the world, our greatest gift is this art, this Filipino martial art. What else is there? The yo-yo, sweet spaghetti sauce. I'm sure there's lots of things, but the Filipino martial arts is our greatest export, is our greatest contribution. It's being utilized by, special forces units and law enforcement. And it has permeated pop culture in the West. It's freaking amazing. So let's do that. Reginald Domingo, political shit doesn't just exist in FMA, but in other cultures as well. Have been involved in Chinese martial arts, brackets Bruce Lee circle, and also modern Chinese arts like Kung Lee. Top 3. What are my top 3 FMA irritants? Oh boy, you're gonna give me trouble. Top 3 FMA irritants are okay. My top 3 FMA irritants are middle of the road practitioners who don't spar but talk a lot of shit. Can't stand those guys, irritate me. Oh, you're doing that umbrella wrong. I mean, bro, at least we're fighting with it. You know what I mean? So that's probably my number one, like that middle of the road FMA practitioner who has just enough experience but not enough knowledge and wisdom to just, and who don't spar, like they just talk so much crap, and they say stuff like this. Well, we do spar, we just don't film it because like we're not about showing off. And I'm like, you're an idiot, bro, because filming your matches is probably the number one way to be able to examine your deficiencies, review them, and then to strategize and build drills that help you address those deficiencies. So people who say they spar but don't film it, you're full of shit. You just spar like crap, or it's not really sparring. And you know that you do film it, but when you watch it, you're like, oh, crap, it looks like shit. Because you probably don't spar properly and you probably don't spar enough, to be proud of it. So, yeah, people who say they spar but have no footage of it, I don't know. Okay, so thank you, by the way, Reginald, for setting me up for this. You're asking me for my top 3 FMA irritants and you get me in trouble. Yeah, so another one of those irritants are like ultra sensitive Filipinos in the Philippines. That's it. And this is what that irritates the crap out of me. Another thing that irritates me about Filipino martial, I mean, oh yeah, okay, another one. I keep mispronouncing. I should know it. Sycophant, right? Like these people who speak on behalf of their grandmasters. Like, I don't know. Like there are some people who just don't like questions or skepticism being raised or projected towards people that they love. And so the moment they see that, they're so insecure and they want to raise their social clout within their little tribes, that they feel like if they attack the person who is expressing skepticism about their art, that their tribe will give them a pat on the back, right? I saw this with the Saya community. I saw this with the Pikiti Tertia community. I saw this with the Calis Illustrissimo community. It's there everywhere, but like this time around, it was like, it's gross. You know what I mean? Like just because I don't like or express skepticism about a technique that was taught by your great grandmaster who you love and was a great person, it doesn't mean I'm disrespecting that great person. It just doesn't. I'm not going to forfeit my right to ask honest questions about stuff because it might hurt the legacy of your deceased grandmaster. I think we honor that legacy to a higher degree of integrity when it can hold up to scrutiny. Right? Y'all agree. Feel me? Thank you, Reginald. Now I'm gonna get more hate mail. Alvin. Oh, Guru. I've had and have FMA teachers who are not Pinoy. I don't feel like I'm learning less or missing out. Yeah, for sure. For sure, bro. 100%. We can't, like, look, the way knowledge is transferred from one source to another, assuming that the fidelity of that knowledge being transmitted is high and clear, there's no kind of blood that you might have that would taint that, you know? If, for example, let's talk about this. There has to be still in the Philippines some amazing, decorated grandmaster of the Filipino martial arts from a system that maybe we haven't heard of and that really nobody knows about. Like just some dude, some guy in some island in the Philippines that no one's documented before, but was an amazing practitioner, that is an amazing ambassador, grandmaster of the Filipino martial arts. Can we agree with that? Yes. Can I get a yes? Thumbs up. Yeah. There's definitely that guy still in the Philippines, right? There's definitely that dude who maybe had sons that died or didn't have sons or daughters, and they weren't able to pass their knowledge on to the next generation. And it's just sitting there ready to die forever, that knowledge. There is a Filipino out there right now. Maybe he's just sitting down, just undiscovered, right? We have to believe that that guy still exists in the Philippines. Now, let's say if some intrepid young Caucasian expeditioner happens to find him, documents him, learns his ways, he becomes the last remaining thread between that knowledge existing and that knowledge disappearing. Does he need to be Filipino to hold that camera still and hit record and to train with the old man? No. No. Again, I don't know what's going on, Guru Alvin. Like, I don't know what's happening. There's so much good things about happening in the FMA. Charles Wilton, I raised my son not to be weak, not let his Filipino pride. It's hard. Oh. I'm guessing your son is half Filipino? Fantastic. Game, thank you for posting. You guys have a great think up there, maybe think tank up there in Canada. Seeing you do KI, PTK, Balintawak, Dos Epares, etc. reminds me of the path that Edgar Sulite took to create his Lameco system. I appreciate that. I'm slightly obsessed with Edgar Sulite these days. My chat with Punong Guru Mark Denny, my time with Coach Greg Nelson, and getting that DVD of Edgar Solite's drills. Man, that guy just thought different, huh? Like the way Edgar Solite just moved and the way like his navigation of distance and proximity was freaking masterful. It's one of those things that I see, if I may be so bold, like I see a lot of disconnect these days. A lot of drills happen at inappropriate ranges for application, but perhaps appropriate for flow drills and drilling. But I just see a kind of it's not static because they're moving, but like the distances are inappropriate. You know what I mean? The shots aren't on target. Anyway, but back to the topic. I'm sorry, guys. Again, this was, as I said in the beginning, I'm trying to hash out these thoughts. So that's it. Maybe I'm wrong, you know? Like maybe I could express more of my I don't even know what to call it. I'm in to fight the. I'm in to fight for a better understanding. I'm in it to promote Filipino culture, not just in big broad strokes as well, but fine specific strokes of Filipino culture. Right. I just can't stand some oversensitive Filipinos speaking on behalf of other Filipinos. And back to this poster, right? Back to this poster. I would have had so much more respect if the commentary came from a tribe member whose icon was being misused, so that they can take that opportunity to actually educate people and not just express their outrage. I don't know what is that. There's a symbol there. It's unclear on the top right. You know what I'm saying? If I had no understanding, no deep understanding of that, and then I profess my outrage for its usage, it's, it's fucking useless, man. But if I was a member of a tribe and that icon means something to me, and I have the knowledge to be able to share with people what that actually means, and then pose the question of, well, do you know what that actually means? You can have a productive dialogue that's based on education and information and not just expressing your outrage, which I cannot stand. And with those kinds of comments, I may comment with something that seems dismissive. Like, nah, bro, it's just a cool poster. The front line for the cultural battle you want to fight isn't on this poster. It's somewhere else. Go fight it somewhere else. That may seem dismissive. And that's fine. This is why I have these podcasts, right? This is why I have these chats. All right, I'm gonna get to the comments and I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna get some editing done. I'm working on. By the way, I'm working on something. Reginald, give me 2 seconds. So, I am creating an online training portal comprised of very short, hyper focused, knife based modules. The video, there's probably like 5 to 8 videos in each module. Most of it are solo drills with one partner drill. And the gap that I'm trying to fill is like people who can't, won't, or don't have the resources to train a full system, but want a way to improve their skills, not in a shortcut magic pill format, but in a modular way so that they can sort of custom build their learning pathways. So, for example, like if you wanted to learn 2 strike combinations in the reverse grip, I have a module for that. And, it's not going to fall perfectly into place of a standardized curriculum, but we explore 2 strike combinations to the degree that you can be functional with it. Certainly, you'll develop some of the right attributes that will lend itself to its successful execution in sparring. So that kind of stuff, right? I don't believe it's in like direct competition or confrontation of the what else is out there. I actually think it's filling a void. People want to learn just one thing because when you try to learn a full system, it takes time, and I'm not saying that's not a good thing, but it does take time, and yeah, you really have no control as to the flow of information. So this is just a short. There's just one small way that I think there's a gap for it, and people seem to be, it seems to be resonating with people. By the way, it's going to be priced at like $10 to $15, maybe $20, because I also want it. I want it to be short, hyper focused, and modular, so that people will actually take the time to train each one of those videos, like to the degree that it will actually develop capabilities. Because sometimes, like happened to me also, like You might buy an online course and then you end up watching the whole thing, not really training any of it. And then you go back anyway to train the stuff that you want to train. Um, so this is just like kind of, hypodermic needle straight into the vein of that little thing that you want to learn. So trainwithgn@gmail.com. If you send me an email, I believe there's maybe 100 or 75 spots left to become a founding member. And a founding member, you'll get a lifetime discount. You're going to get a code and a special email, and you're going to get a discount code that's good for life. And it's not going to be available to anyone else ever. And let me just do a quick checkity check. I'm making room for 500 of them. I haven't really promoted this like too hardcore or anything, but let me just see. There's 94 slots left, so I'm only having 500 people ever to have this founding member discount. So we have like 406 people sign up for it, which is great, right? It's pretty cool. Like I said, I haven't really promoted it, but I'll promote it here. I'll write up the banner. I'll give you my email, trainwithgn@gmail.com. By the way, like I said, it's a better idea to learn a full system. It's a better idea to maybe dedicate yourself for some time to a comprehensive system. I do recommend certain ones, PTI Academy, Pikiti University from the PTTA, Master Raymond Floro has some great material, which I think he should film again. But it's there. Same for Tuhon Bill. I'd like to film some of Tuhon Bill's stuff in the future, because I think like camera placement and movement does kind of make a difference, but it doesn't make a difference for some people. Some people can watch a VHS tape and just be able to extract from it. In any case, there you go. There you have it. If you can, this is the hierarchy. If you can train in person with somebody credible and trustworthy, that's number one priority. Number two, seek an online course that has great customer support, a good community support online, and offers a progressive, comprehensive, and complete system. And then there's probably like books. And then like I'm way at the bottom. I'm way at the bottom, and I'll admit that, because you're developing specific skill sets that really ought to be congruent with the bigger picture, which I'm not providing. So you need to find the bigger picture. Although my modules are pretty dope, though. I dig deep. And again, it's for a particular kind of student. Like I have a module that's called 2-strike combinations in the reverse grip. We dig deep into that. I have a module called 2-strike combinations in the forward grip. I have a specific module just for forward grip thrusting and all the things involved in that. I have a module for knife deployment, and I have a module for evolution drills to challenge your ability to mechanically draw your weapon, right? So that kind of stuff, right? Like how good is the ability to draw your weapon if you haven't developed footwork, right? So maybe I will create a footwork module. Anyway, the idea is short modules, super focused, modular, so you can create your custom pathways. And then there's going to be a dead end where it's like, hey man, that's all I've got. That's all I can possibly teach you. So you either like fuck off and do nothing else. You can train those things for a lifetime. Or what I actually suggest is go train the art. Go find something that is going to be fulfilling and rewarding and challenging. But there's only limited things that I can effectively teach anyway. All right. Oh, yes. Urban Scout in the house. Already sent. Cool. What? Is that a police uniform or something? Looks professional anyway. All right. Reginald, I got attracted to Filipino martial arts because of the beauty of Sayak. Any comments? I do have a comment on that. I think Sayak is absolutely beautiful. I really appreciate it, actually. It's just, I think, and this may be a misconception on my end. I think sometimes some Sayaks reject that it is a Filipino martial art, that it is sophisticated and beautiful and is an art form, right? I think they reject that in place of like everything's black and tactical and, get the carotid, and it's just hubad, bro. Like I see some, Sayak pattern, and I've there's enough material on there, and I've met enough people to show me Sayak, and I'm like, this is an interesting interpretation. This is a repackaging of classical, traditional, universal concepts, just like every other Filipino martial art is that. It's a repackaging of universal concepts to fit and appeal to a certain kind of people. So that's all Sayok is. It ain't nothing special. Pikiti is nothing special. KI is nothing special. Again, when I say those things, I kind of get in trouble. They're all special, is what I'm trying to say. They're all amazing. They're all beautiful. They are all art. And so, yes, Sayak, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Inappropriate ranges, we have to choose our approximations: target range, speed, power, equipment. Hey, wait a minute, Harry Flexman. That doesn't sound like an indigenous Filipino name. How dare you teach our art? Off with you. Just joking. Shout out, Harry Flexman. Fight Dad. This guy creates Filipino martial arts lesson plans. Go visit fightdad.com. Really great approach. Really, really great approach to the Filipino martial arts. I really appreciate it as part of the overall diversity of FMA offerings. I think he's definitely doing great things, definitely filling a void, definitely a lead gen to, other pathways of the Filipino martial arts, which is the whole point. If the technical knowledge is there, no matter who teaches it, you can be any nationality as long as you have respect for the martial art. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stuntman. I'm a stuntman. I'm a stuntman too. All right, ladies and germs. Thank you. If I offended you in this, I am so sorry that you are so easily offended. But I'm also sorry that this was a one-way street. This was me just talking. So if you want to discuss this with me in a public discussion like this so that we can benefit, please send me a message. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you in this platform to talk about where I was dumb and stupid and misguided and misinformed. Happy to do that. Happy to do that. And always make room for the idea that I really have no idea what I'm talking about. Just expressing opinions and hashing out thoughts in this platform. Happy and honored that people actually watch this stuff. So thank you guys very much. And keep training the Filipino martial arts. Keep loving on the Filipino culture. And for those ambassadors of the Filipino martial arts, let me say this. Something that I identified in the tactical and firearms community is that when you have a newcomer and they do something wrong, the tendency is to kind of attack that person. Like, oh, look how he fixed his red dot to his revolver. Oh, look how he's holding that rifle. What a fucking idiot. Look at the way that he's oriented his loadout on his vest. Like, who would put a grenade over there, right? And the Filipino martial arts does this. Like, whenever we see somebody new and exploring, we're like, look at this fucking idiot. That's not how you do an Estrella. Like, oh, you call that a lutang? You tell me? You know, who is this guy? Who are you? As if you're somebody, huh? As if you trained with tatang like me. I look at this selfie. That's tatang right there. That's me over there in the back, fourth row. Look at you. You are not even in Luneta. And you're trying to do your lutangs, like you know what you're doing. Putang, you are a shit man. You're no good. Do not share your crap. You're not ready for this. You're not a true Filipino martial artist. Huh? You weren't there, buddy. Anyway, it kind of went on left field. But you know what I mean, right? Like newcomers come in, they're enthusiastic. They want to show something. They want to show they're passionate about the Philippine martial arts. Like, don't smash them to the ground, homie. You know what I mean? Be supportive. Instead of expressing your outrage, educate if you have the capability to do so. And whenever that you are expressing an opinion, be open to the possibility that you could be completely wrong, that you might be doing it the wrong way. Kill that dogma. Respect tradition without being a slave to it. Cool. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And who am I to deprive the community of the single greatest intro and outro in all of Filipino martial arts podcasting? Not me. Peace.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go.
You're finished!
Get up. Never got no up. Gotta wake up, bitch. Get up.
Oh.
Get up. Get up.
Before it, launch the counterattack.